when we started out, there's already a lot of information, a lot of resources for writing in LaTeX, which is what our software is based on. So we reached out to those different communities and helped build links into our product. So we made it really easy for people to use existing resources with an overleaf. And we also make it really easy for users to share their work with others. So you simply share the link and others can come in and edit. So we kind of have this, what we like to think of as viral growth through sharing and collaboration.
So by looking at actual data using our analytics tools, we could see like quite deep behavior patterns, and to us it showed like a much more intensive, much more frequent behavior once our users were getting hooked, and that was sort of the key thing we learned. Like there was a big difference between like people just visiting our platform, checking out a few nice open source engineering projects, and then we saw somebody making the switch to like, hey, now I'm going to actually build this project myself, and then they were hooked. Then they just came back multiple times a day, multiple days a week. And that showed us like, hey, we need to get people to that moment as soon as possible.
We've got an interesting thing with community where a lot of it's come from kind of word of mouth and particularly through social media channels. So I think we grew. Kickstarter itself is inherently is a kind of a digital thing. So I think a lot of the community has grown through being on Reddit, being on Twitter, tweeting regularly, Facebooking. So I think we're sort of really interested in pushing at what our real world opportunities to grow a community are as well, because this is about location. So things we're looking at are joining up with football clubs potentially as a kind of really interesting kind of user base that have an inherent interest in what we're talking about, which is different kind of allegiances competing for the sort of right to own a city. You know, you can straight away see Manchester, Man City, Man United. There's some interesting parallels there. Beyond that, I think it's just engaging with people like running clubs, engaging with people that are already active on the street, doing what we're talking about, but just bring them into our game world to do it. One of the key learnings that came out of the panel for me, I think, was just about how we're not actually making maximum use of all these people that are really engaged around the world. So we've got people starting up Belgium Facebook pages, Facebook fan pages. We've got people in Australia telling us what a great experience they're having. We actually need something that we can reach out to them and say, great, you know, do you want to be more engaged? Do you want to bring more people in? Do you want to actually become an advocate and have some kind of access, or have something on your badge within the game that shows you that? That's something that we'll need to talk about, but that's kind of buzzing in my head off the back of the session is let's do more with the people that are enthusiastic supporters of the game.
And I found what We've had to say about using Mixpanel and analytics quite interesting, and how they were splitting their users into different cohorts, and they ended up finding certain power users who they then used to build a community. That was interesting.
The moments that you know you're doing well is when people approach you without you having to go after people or find people, or like the moment you get this cold call or email from somebody totally unexpected and saying, hey, I like what you're doing, how can I use your service? Right. And it took us quite a while to get there, but once you get there, you're like, hey, this is the big signals you should look at. Like, even if it's just one guy or just one project, one community, like that's the thing, because people take the effort to reach out to you and ask you like, I want to work with you.
So we've taken a number of different approaches at Overleaf. When we started out, we have a really strong free product, but then if you want certain extra features you can upgrade. It's the standard freemium model. But now we're working with institutions and publishers and using the fact that we have, say, 1,000 users at Stanford University to go to the library services and say, would you be interested in a site license? So getting the B2B sales to build on the user community that we already have.
Yeah, we've got quite an interesting challenge, which something I talked about, which I think we sort of regret that we didn't use Kickstarter for a little bit more, is we could have tested some of those kind of different business models. So talked about, do people buy kind of vanity rewards more than they buy, more than they maybe buy something that's more of a strategic advantage in the game, or maybe they buy something completely separate, like the right to give some codes to a friend. So there's different sort of rewards we'd have liked to have tested, but our plan at the moment is to have a free-to-play game, but to build in some of those kind of conventional free-to-play mechanics, like I say, vanity purchases. I think we're confident some of them will work because they're quite tried and tested, so things about making aesthetic choices about how you're represented. Others I think will be a bigger risk depending on how much they advantage people in the kind of strategic planning of their physical activity.
It's a bit different for us because we never charge patients to use the service, but we are really interested in coming back to the website. So what we've done is we've got rid of the idea of a username and password. We ask patients to log in using their surname, their date of birth and their postcode, and then we send a one-time code to their mobile phone. The reason we do that is that we have two discrete cohorts. We have a set of patients who've got chronic conditions. They come back quite often and they're really good at logging in. We have another set of patients who only use healthcare kind of once or twice a year, and they often forget their username and password. So by giving them a really easy way to log in, we increase use of the website, where we can display things like videos, maps, pictures of their doctor to get richer information about the appointment, which helps the hospital give a better service.
Build a really good product that people love, and then be really passionate about what you do yourself as well.